Hi, I'm Don from Don Drones On. I hope everyone's having a wonderful holiday. And don't worry, I recorded this well in advance of Christmas. So, if I thought we'd turned the corner on download speed last month, well, we just hit the straightaway in December. But what's going on with the dropouts? Stay tuned for these updates and more. First, a bit of news. The data cap we talked about last month was supposed to start with our first billing period in December. Well, Starlink quietly postponed that to February, according to the Starlink website. So if you're a heavy data user, you have a couple more months of breathing room before that soft cap takes effect. That February date is for Canada and the US. It's possibly different in different countries, so I recommend you check your own terms of service to be sure. And speaking of different countries, I was pleased to see almost 1% of my viewers last month were watching from Ukraine. Very cool. And deep respect for your strength and fortitude. All the best to you. By the way, I had estimated that I would finish around 300 gigabytes of data usage in my November billing cycle. In fact, I ended up at only 272 gigabytes. So far this month, about 2/3 of the way through this month's billing cycle, I've used 178 gig, which extrapolates to, well, almost exactly the same amount as November. Let's talk about download speed. Last month, it seemed like we had turned the corner, like I said, with speeds almost doubling. But was it just a blip? Well, no. In fact, my December tests showed the download speeds 8% faster than November, coming in with 124 megabits per second on average. Amazing. Ping was also about 10% better with 52 milliseconds on average. Upload speed, well, still quite good at 8.8 megabits per second, was actually 9% worse than November. By the way, I did 72 speed tests this month. The histogram of download speed tests is a thing of beauty, with a lovely peak in the 100 to 150 meg range. This is even nicer than November, and it puts to shame the months before that. The upload histogram was as consistent as ever. Variation over the morning, afternoon, and evening periods still exists, with the evening still being the worst, presumably because there's so many people streaming TV at that time. But even with that, my average in the evening was 91 megabits per second. The profile is a bit different than November's when there was that somewhat surprising peak in the afternoon. I'm not sure why. So I would cautiously say we have not only turned the corner on speed, we might be in the straightaway. But why? They have activated about 125 more satellites this month, but that doesn't seem to be enough to account for such a huge speed improvement. I've compared active ground stations to snapshots I had done a few months ago. And there's no new ones anywhere near me, at least not according to either the satellite-map.space or starlink.sx websites. So I'm left with algorithm changes. Now this is just speculation, but it is possible that some tweak has been made that selects satellites or ground stations, or maybe even my POP site, differently to avoid bottlenecks. Less congestion means faster throughput. It's certainly plausible, and it might explain this other oddity. Take a look at the number of dropouts I recorded in December. Now, if you recall, I consider a dropout to be an outage of 11 or more seconds. I analyzed 23 12-hour periods in December and about the same in November, so probably statistically significant. I had 50% more obstruction dropouts this month, and yet my trees have not had leaves since October, and we've had very little snow, so my obstruction profile, if I could call it that, hasn't changed. And this metric, the total outage time per day, also shows a significantly worse story in December versus November. Again, with no physical change in my local obstructions. So between the speed improvements and increased obstruction outages, there's something going on. To me, this suggests those boys and girls in the Starlink lab coats are tuning little knobs to try to find some sweet spot. Now for me, I'd give up some speed to have fewer outages, but not too much, please. So there we have it, the second month in a row with terrific download speeds, but maybe at the expense of a few more dropouts. I wonder what will happen in January. To find out, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell to be notified of my new videos. And there's a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below if you'd like to support my channel that way. I really appreciate those who have done so. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.